Hi everyone, this is Nick Souza from the Digital Arts Experience, and today I'm continuing to explore the various rule sets of D&D as it pertains to your character sheet. Again, we're continuing to use Grum, and we're going to be going over proficiencies and languages, which is in the bottom left of your sheet over here. If you haven't watched the tutorials covering proficiency bonus in the past, particularly as it relates to your skill checks, go ahead and watch that video first. It's going to make a lot more sense. And then come back to this video a little bit later. So the proficiencies in language section is divided up into 4 areas here. We've got armor, weapons, tools, and languages. So let's start with armor. Armor is really important because it is the primary thing keeping you from being bitten by said red dragon. In this case, Grum has proficiency bonuses. I'm sorry, not bonuses. In armor, you only have proficiencies. You don't have bonuses applied to armor. It's not like this number applies to your armor class. We'll come back to that in just a minute. Your armor proficiencies mean that you can wear certain types of armor in combat and use them effectively. So in this case, Grum has proficiency in light, medium armor in shields. So I won't have any negative effects from wearing them. So then that begs the question, what would happen if I equipped or put on a piece of armor that I am not proficient in? Well, let's say that Grum happens to find a really nice set of plate mail armor. I put that on, and yeah, my armor class would go up, which is good. The problem is I would then have disadvantage on any ability check, saving throw, or attack roll that involves strength or dexterity, and I won't be able to cast spells. That is a huge problem when I am out in combat and trying to do stuff in the world of the D&Ds. So it's very important to make sure that the armor you're going to put on is something that you're trained in. Otherwise, it is going to hamper you significantly. So in this case, light, medium armor, those are the ones I'm trained in. Shields will also require proficiency to use. If you don't know how to use a shield, you don't benefit from the armor class. Really quickly, because I haven't covered it previously, your armor, or your armor class rather, is derived from a couple of details. In fact, it might be worth me going over armor and weapons in a different tutorial to show you how they're broken down. So I'll actually reserve that for another tutorial. Let's go ahead and move over to weapons. So in the case of weapons, the weapons that you are proficient in are the ones you get to add your proficiency bonus to. Just like with armor, you can technically wear any kind of armor and you can wield any type of weapon, but in the case of weapons, you will get to add your proficiency bonus to the attack roll if you are proficient with them. So in the case of Grum, he is proficient with simple weapons. In this case, a mace is considered a simple weapon. So you can see here that I actually get a +5 because that is my strength, because this is a strength-based weapon, +3, which gives me a +5 total. If I were wielding something that was a martial weapon, which is something that is usually reserved for fighters or people who are trained in combat, such as, say, I believe a greatsword is a martial weapon. If I were to wield a greatsword, I would not be able to add my proficiency bonus. It would just be my strength, which is a +2. So you can definitely make sure that the weapons you are using are ones you're proficient in. Again, if you're in a particular situation where your weapons have been taken away, you have to grab something, then obviously that's going to be better than nothing, but you will very likely be unable to add your proficiency bonus to that roll. Let's go ahead and move down to tools. Now, in this case, Grum doesn't have any training in tools, which is okay. Let's just say, for an example, that Grum's buddy will say, Tom. Tom is a thief, and he has training in thieves' tools. Basically, what we can do here is, let's say Grum and his buddy Tom come over to a door. Grum decides that he wants to try lock-picking the door. So he asks for Tom to lend him his tools, which he does. Now, because Grum does not have training in the tool, any ability check that I make, I will not be able to add proficiency to it. So normally, when you're unlocking a door, usually that calls for a dexterity check. And in this case, I don't get to add my proficiency because I'm not skilled with the tool. So in my case, I don't get to add anything because I have a big fat 0 there, and Grum just rolls his die normally. Now let's go over to his friend Tom, for example. Let's say Tom has a dexterity of +2 and he has proficiency in the tool. So not only does he get to roll, he gets to add his proficiency bonus because he has training in the tool, and he gets to add his dexterity on top of it. So it's much more likely that his buddy Tom will be able to open the door. There are various different types of tools in D&D. Definitely check out which ones you get as part of your class, and then see if you can perhaps use them to your advantage when trying to solve puzzles, navigate the world, or perhaps talk with a couple of characters, or maybe even do something in combat. Lastly are the languages. Languages are pretty straightforward. You either know them or you don't. So in this case, Grum actually speaks Common, Elvish, Goblin, and Orc. This is typically enough to understand the spoken language and read the common writing out of those languages. And that's pretty much it. That covers proficiencies and languages. I will come up with another tutorial that goes over weapons and armor specifically. Maybe we'll do tools as well, depending on if that is needed. But that's going to cover everything in this tutorial. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.